Bad business partners can destroy your business. Find out how to protect yourself on today's episode. Today's episode is brought to you by ConvertKit, the ultimate list building, tagging, and segmentation tool. To find out how ConvertKit can change your business and double your profits, go to servenomaster.com/ConvertKit today.
Are you tired of dealing with your boss? Do you feel underpaid and underappreciated? If you want to make it online, fire your boss and start living your retirement dreams now, then you've come to the right place. Welcome to Serve No Master Podcast, where you'll learn how to open new revenue streams and make money while you sleep. Presented live from a tropical island in the South Pacific by best-selling author Jonathan Green. Now, here's your host.
The most common misconception about online marketing and working online is that because it's all built around technology, that you're totally secure, that the software, that the technology you use will ensure that the people you work with stay honest, that they will pay you on time, and that you never have to worry about anything bad happening. But it's actually the complete opposite. You can't go to court and say, hey, look, there was a tracking link. Look at my numbers, disagree with their numbers. Online business is all about handshakes and trust, and I've been through some dark experiences. The first partner I ever worked with stole a massive amount of money from me, and still, 7 years later, still writes bad things about me online. He stole money from me, and he tried to get the word out that I had stolen from him. Of course, every time I said, if you don't stop slandering me, I'm going to take you to court, he would stop saying anything for about 6 months, because his worst nightmare would be for us to go to court. I was really stressed about this person for a long time until one of my friends, Jordan Harbinger, who is the host of the Art of Charm podcast, a very successful podcast. In fact, I should probably get him as a guest on this one because he's a real genius. But he said to me, cockroaches fear the light. It's the smartest thing anyone said to me in a long time. And he was totally right. Every time I said, you know what, he was always threatening to sue me. I said, that's a great idea. Why don't you sue me? Let's go to court and let's talk about what happened. I said, why don't we open up the bank accounts, open up the records, because I've saved every email you've ever sent me, and let's just go to court and see what happens. Every time I say that, he disappears. That's how you know someone's a real class act. They love to threaten to sue, but the moment you go, you know what, let's just do it. Let's find out which of us is right and which of us is wrong, they run away. This is the same person that's been through 7 business partners, and all the other business partners have stolen from him, according to his story. Now I look back and go, maybe he just lies about everyone, but I do know he's been through 3 divorces, and that's a sign that someone doesn't know how to form long-term relationships, right? He can't keep business or personal relationships working. I really made some bad decisions early on, and I got some bad wisdom from my first coach, who was like, hey, you just got to lock in and agree to do whatever it takes to take breaking up off the table so that you can just get to the finish line. And of course, because I stayed in that business relationship, I ended up going to the emergency room and nearly dying because I was so stressed. I ended up almost eating a hole through my esophagus. I had so much acid reflux. I ended up in the hospital, and the doctors thought I wasn't going to make it. So that's the type of person who nearly killed me and still chose to steal from me and just chose to attack my reputation. So I know what it's like to enter a partnership with the wrong type of person and to really get burned. And so you might think that I'd be totally against partnerships, that I would say never work with anyone else ever again. There are a couple of things I want you to think about before you enter into a partnership relationship. I do recommend that you make money on your own first. See, when you're starting out, and this was my mistake, and this is a very common mistake, you partner with someone because you want them to handle the stuff that you don't know how to do or you're afraid to do. Oftentimes, people will say they can do things they don't know how to do. He basically said he would be in charge of writing the sales letter and getting all the joint venture partners, getting all the people to promote our offer. At the end of the project, I wrote the entire sales video. He didn't write anything because he had no idea what he was doing. Like none. He put no effort into it. And he was like, I'm spending 10 or 12 hours a day on Facebook lining up JVs for us. That's a lie. That's not how it works. That's not how you get JV partners. And it doesn't take 12 hours a day of Facebook work, right? This is someone who's basically saying, hey, my job is to sit on Facebook all day and do nothing. This is kind of why I don't even know if this person's still in the business anymore. I haven't heard from him or seen him in years. And he certainly hasn't launched a product I've heard about in at least 5 years. Who cares? You can't make a living just sitting on Facebook talking to people all day. And of course, we ended up using my sales page. I only found out 5 days before launch. I had to write the whole sales letter. I had no idea what I was doing. As you know, I didn't learn copywriting until 5 years later. So what I wrote was probably garbage. I should try and go find it. I probably have it somewhere on one of my computers. But we launched and almost nobody promoted our offer. And it turned out he spent 6 months talking to Facebook and no one actually promoted us because no one liked him. He's a very unlikable person. And I entered the relationship because I thought, hey, I don't feel comfortable getting joint venture partners. I don't know how to do it yet. And I don't really know how to handle this Facebook stuff. And I don't know how to write a sales copy. So it makes sense to have a partner. Totally wrong. Big mistake. It's much better to, and I've learned this, and to wait until you really know what you can and can't do by trying things. See, if there's something your partner's in charge of that you really don't know how to do, you're going to get screwed probably 90% of the time. Because you won't know if they can do it or not. You won't know if they're good or crappy at their job. So you have no way to assess if they're really doing what they're saying, right? I wasn't able to assess if he was really working on the sales letter or not because he wouldn't let me see it. I wasn't really able to assess what he was doing on Facebook all day, right? This is someone who was sending me over 100 emails a day in addition to 50 texts a day. He was spending all day long riding me because, not just because he was dead inside, part of it, but also because he knew he wasn't doing anything, so he had to put enough pressure on me to get me to do both sides of the work. And the reason I was vulnerable is because I had no idea, I didn't understand what I was doing. So this is why when I say when you're first starting out, I recommend this in Serve No Master in the book. I talk about this and I want to share it here. Don't get a business partner until you know what you're doing. So I don't hire, like I have people who work for me, and I would never hire an employee to do something I don't know how to do anymore. I've learned my lesson. Every time you hire someone, whether it's a graphic designer or a copywriter or anything, as soon as they realize you couldn't do their job, they start to play games. They start to get lazy or slack off or do something. And you always end up suffering, and business partners do the same thing. So I know how to do all my own graphics. Every single product cover, every single graphic on Serve No Master, I did myself. I used to pay someone else to do that stuff, a lot of money. And then I realized he was probably spending 2 hours a week doing it and pretending to be working for me because he took a job from one of my friends. And I said, this guy's supposed to be working for me full time. Our contract was that for graphic designer, was that he wouldn't take jobs working for other people, but he wouldn't put in the time on my work. He was ripping me off. And then when I fired him, he was like, I thought we were a family. I was like, hey, you've been stealing from me. You're supposed to work for me 40 hours a week. You took a job from someone else. And when I checked your work, you're putting in like 2 hours a week for me. So it took me a long time to learn this. This is a lesson that cost me well into the 6 figures to learn over the course of different partnerships and employees. And I hope you can understand it now. Yeah, it's hard to do some of these things. It's hard to learn how to build a website. It's hard to learn how to do graphics. But if you don't learn how to do this stuff, your business partners or people you hire will really rip you off. I know someone who pays $25,000 for a landing page design. A landing page design, he's paying probably 50 times more than he should be. 50 times more than it's worth because he doesn't know what he's doing. Now, the guy has so much money to pour into it that he eventually makes the money back, which is amazing to me. It turns out that you can get ripped off and still make a profit if you have millions of dollars to invest in your business. But when you're starting out and someone rips you off hard, it happens to everyone. You get ripped off for $1,000 here, $5,000 there, $7,000 there. It just destroys you. It's hard to recover from it. I don't want that to happen to you. So when you're forming a partnership, you need to really know what the other person's doing and be able to assess it. This is why I recommend you do everything on your own. Yeah, it's tough. You launch your first product. You don't make that much money, but now you've done it. Now you know all the pieces. So then when you work with someone, you can see them accelerating or not accelerating it. You can say, hey, you're not doing a better job than I've done before. Now, when I partner with people, I can say, hey, you're not doing something better than I would do it on my own. Why are we working together? So I only work with people that can do something better than me. I partnered up with someone, right, on my parenting project. Why? Because he's a better copy.